Hey now, it's not Brace for Impact. It's not exactly overtime, and it's not the Mike and JD show. It's just Mike with his phone. So, but I've been wanting to do more and more content, and the last couple weeks, honestly, guys, at work has been like brutal. And maybe one day I'll let you guys in on some of the stuff that has been going on. But I'm like a first sergeant, and when you're the first sergeant for a unit, you're like a jack of all trades, basically. You're not performing any of the work, but you have to take care of a lot of different things. So today, and I'm just going to speak in generalities because obviously I can't like divulge certain information. But today, somebody's father-in-law passed away, and when you're overseas, you're allotted certain entitlements, and the Red Cross helps out, so you have to like coordinate travel and things like that. So I took care of that today. I've had some folks on base die recently and have to take care of that. I've had some folks with getting into trouble, mental health issues, different types of physical and mental ailments, and just trying to make sure that they coordinate care, getting them taken care of, and basically um, getting everything that they need. And so it's been a tough couple weeks, and it's like the job's almost 24/7. And I think that's the that's the tough part. So I had another instance today where somebody just was missing a part of their uniform and they did not know what to do, and the supervisor did not know what to do. And I'm like, so they come to me, and this part is not really my job, but I'm like, I just felt the need to take care of this person, so I used my contacts and did a search and just kind of figured out exactly how to fix the problem and get them everything that they need. And so it's just been kind of a tedious couple of weeks. It's been really like, I want to say 2 weeks ago on Monday. And I think that was the day that I was planning on doing a dynasty review. I worked from 7 in the morning until midnight. So I never got to do a dynasty review. And by the time I was able to do it, because I had finished watching it, like by that Monday morning, I actually woke up super early so that way I could watch it. And and I planned on like recording it, kind of like what I'm doing right now. I plan on recording a recap of it and just give my thoughts, and then whatever else was in the news, just talk about it. And I planned on doing that, but then I ended up working. Like I got to work at 7, and the reason why I went in at 7 is so that way, like I could try to like sneak out at some point during the day, and maybe do the recording, or like leave work early, or like what I'm doing right now. Like my wife is putting the kid down, so I just pull up my phone and I'm doing the recording. So I plan on doing something like that, but I worked from 7 until midnight because I had just somebody that was in dire straits, and I had to be in the ER with them for like 6 or 7 hours. So I almost worked like 3 shifts in one day. so, so like my whole week that week started off rough, and then I had another incident last week, a different thing, but it was much worse, and I can't even really talk about it last week, and that sucked. But by the end of the week, I was able to get honored for outstanding performance. So I guess my unit is really seeing a lot of the good things that I've been doing and how hard I've been working, and because not only do I have this job, it's really kind of taking its toll. They don't know about the podcast. I keep the podcast separate. I don't really talk about that. That's like my personal thing. But I'm also getting a master's degree at the same time, so they kind of see like how hard I'm working, and then I'm in school at the same time. And I have a family. I got a pregnant wife, and I have a 5.5-year-old daughter, and so I got a lot going on. And they noticed that, and they got me honored by the Secretary of Defense, which was pretty cool. If you're in the military, he's the top dog. Like the ultimate top dog is the president, but that's probably a guy that we'll never see. So like the Secretary of Defense is really like our guy. He is our advocate to the president. So to be honored by him, that was really cool. Um, so, but this past weekend was really good. I was actually able to watch Backlash. I wasn't able to watch it in real time. Honestly, while it was on, I was out jogging. So like I could have like skipped my workout and watched it, but I just chose not to. And you know what? Now that I think of it, I think the pre-show was on while I was recording Brace for Impact. So I did Brace for Impact, and then immediately put on my workout clothes, and then I went for a jog, and I come back, and Backlash was on, but we had family stuff planned for the day. So we did our family stuff. We ended up going to the beach, and then by the time I got back, I started watching Started watching Backlash. Watched a little bit of it, and then after my wife and kid went down, I went ahead and put it back on, and I actually fast forwarded to the main event and saw Cody versus AJ on Saturday night. And then when I got up in the next morning, I had started watching a little bit of it again, like the beginning, and I had left the Peacock screen up, and my daughter saw Cody, and she asked her mom if she could watch wrestling, and my wife said we have to ask your dad, and I was like at the store. So I got back from the store, and she's like, "Daddy, can we watch wrestling?" And I was like, "As a matter of fact, we can." So we actually watched Backlash on Sunday morning, so yesterday morning. So, and then later that night, I was planning on doing a Backlash review. I was just going to do it on Sunday night because I was scheduled to do my homework. But here's the trick, guys. So, I had carved out like a 2.5 hour block to do my homework, and that is like pretty typical. But I knew that this week was an easy week, and I could bullshit my homework. It required no research. All I had to do was like 2 pages, double space, too easy, about a topic I knew a lot about, training and development, which is what I do. So it's like I can go in there and get that paper done in like 20 minutes and then kind of run it through the software, the Grammarly, to make sure that all my grammar is good and fix all my punctuation errors I typically have. Do all that and submit it, and I'd be fine. And so I planned on doing that. And then I was like, okay, well, now I'll have extra time. So I'll do my Backlash review, and then I can just like watch some videos and be like, oh yeah, come downstairs. Oh man, that homework was tough, honey. But when in reality I was planning on spending like 20 minutes doing it. So, but so I did that, and then I told JD what my plan was, and he goes, dude, I didn't do superhero speak tonight. I was like, oh really? Why not? And he goes, well, he had plans with his wife, and then the plans fell through. And so he's like, I'm actually available. I was like, oh, well, shit, let's just do an overtime then. Because we like to do overtime every week, um, and we typically would record that on Thursday night. But because JD, by the time we're done recording, it's so far after midnight, he has to get up and go to work the next morning. We have not been able to do it pretty regularly like we like to. So we've been moving it to Sunday nights when we have an opportunity. And we just happened to have the opportunity last night, and so we knocked out an hour last night. So I was happy to be able to do that, and here I am doing the Backlash. So sorry for the boring 7-minute intro, but so yeah, to make a long story short, I watched Backlash from Lyon or whatever they call it, Lyon, Lyon, France, and I gotta say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. And you know what? I think Backlash last year was in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that was awesome too. So Backlash is kind of like becoming like a low key, really good event. It's not going to be like a landmark marquee event, but it's probably going to be like if they do it from a different country every year, um, with these hot crowds, like it could be one of the funner events every year. And I really like the fact that there was only 5 matches. And I think more companies need to start doing that. Like TNA, for example. Their TNA Plus specials, their monthly specials, like especially this Under Siege, they probably could have cut 2 matches off of that and made it like 2.5 hours, and it would have been a better show. And I'll be honest, I was like one of the few people that actually kind of enjoyed it. I think maybe because my expectations were so low, but I went into low expectations, and so I enjoyed it. But they probably could have cut a couple matches off of there, and it would have been better. So, but anyway, it reminded me of one of the old NXT cards, not with the match quality, because you do get some good matches on the main roster, but like the old NXT cards, the Triple H era, the gold and black era, um, their takeover specials were epic, and they're usually only like 5 or 6 matches and 2.5 hours long. They wasted no time, and it was just action packed, action, action, action. Everything kicked so much ass, and then they went home and they sent the crowd home happy. And that's kind of what they did here. I thought I liked every match except for one, and I'll get into which one I didn't like. I did think that there was still a little bit too much time in between the matches, and I think at one point my daughter got bored, so she took off for a while. Like I didn't see her for like 15 minutes, and she'd come back, and then and finally there was another match on. But so I do think that they need to pace it like better, especially for Backlash. Like I get WrestleMania how they're having, because WrestleMania has a lot of first time viewers. You're like, re-educating the viewing public about your product at WrestleMania. So you got your hardcore fans that know everything, and then that is like a huge casual fan audience. That's kind of like the Super Bowl where, like they have to educate like the wives who are watching, who don't know anything about the teams, and like the dudes that just don't watch football except for one time a year. Like there are a lot of those people. Well, those people exist in WrestleMania, so you have to re-educate the public about what's going on. So, but um, so yeah. So anyway, I thought Backlash was a really good show. I thought the first match, which hold on, let me get my notes here. Um, let's see. Oh, hold on, just like this is bad radio. Sorry. I thought the first match was Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, defeating Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. I thought this was really good, and I thought Tama Tonga especially looked really good. And I know he gets a bad rap for kind of sucking, but I've never thought that he was a bad wrestler. I don't think he's a star by any means. Um, and he's had some matches that were stinkers, but for the most part, I've always thought that he was a pretty good worker. The problem is he's like in his 40s now, but the guy's in really good shape. I thought he looked great in the match, and he did a ton, and he took a beating during the match too. I thought he looked really good. I think Solo Sikoa is going to be a big star for them one day, and I'm looking forward to that whenever they get around to the Solo versus Roman feud, because I think where they're going with it. And I don't know that Hikuleo is going to come in or not, but I think eventually they're going to do a Bloodline versus Bloodline feud where Roman reunites with the Usos and they take on, Solo and the Gorillas of Destiny and possibly Jacob Fatu. Or maybe, Hikuleo comes in with Solo and then Jacob Fatu joins up with the Usos. Because you got Solo with the Tongans versus, you know, um, Roman with the Samoans. Maybe they do something like that. I think that like a 4-on-4. I think that would be pretty cool. But anyway, the match started off hot where all four guys were just brawling, and of course Nick Aldis came out and made it a street fight, and this had a ton of heat. Like this crowd was insane the whole night. Probably, and at times I felt like they did take away from the show. They got a bit annoying because they were trying to become the show. But I can't knock an entire audience for having fun. I think that is loser behavior, and I'm not going to engage in that. So, I thought the crowd, for the most part, despite a few annoying moments, I thought they were pretty awesome. So, but the match was really freaking good. And I'm not going to do the blow by blow. I don't even have the blow by blow up for me, so it's actually just me going off of memory. But Tongaloa made his debut, so they were about to pin Tama Tonga. Tongaloa shows up, pulls the referee out, and they of course they had to explain who Tongaloa was. I think it's time for Tongaloa to change his name, and I'm not saying he needs to go back to Micah like he was in TNA, or I think he might have been Camacho in WWE at one point, which now that I think about it, it's pretty racist, but I think they need to Tama Tonga needs to probably get rid of his name and just be Tama, or Tongaloa needs just like an entirely different name, because the fact that they both use Tonga in their name is kind of confusing. So, in WWE, you just can't do that stuff. And I said that too when they were both in New Japan. I was like, one of these guys got to change their name. They got to get more creative here. But anyway, yeah. So the Gorillas of Destiny are in WWE. Tongaloa is not a very good worker. His brother's really good. Tama Tonga's very good, but Tongaloa is kind of the shits. He's always been like average to below average, and his matches of late have not been impressive. And there's a lot of gifs and memes going around with some of the silly stuff that he was doing in Japan that just didn't look very good. But there have been times where the Gorillas of Destiny had some really good matches, and we'll see if they're able to recapture that. I think a match with the Usos will be interesting, but will it be good? I don't know, because I just don't know that Tongaloa can go anymore. And if he can't go, then it might not be very good. But if it's Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa, or Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu versus the Usos, or something like that, I think that could be interesting. But Tongaloa just doesn't have the sauce anymore, unfortunately. And maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he'll get himself back in shape, and maybe his knees will start working again. I don't know, but he has not been impressive the last bunch of times I've seen him. But I really enjoyed this match. I thought Randy Orton and Kevin Owens were awesome. The crowd was awesome, and just a really hot way to start the show. And then I thought the next match was very good too. It was the women's championship match. Bailey defeated Naomi and Tiffany Stratton in a triple threat. One of the better women's matches I've seen in a long time, and I try not to like isolate them, but I think you really do a lot of times have to compare women's matches to other women's matches, because they're still kind of building their momentum. Each women's division is much smaller than the men's division, so the talent pool just isn't as deep. And so, but I really did think that this was on par with a lot of your top men's matches. I thought all three women were really good, which is for Naomi it's pretty tough because she gets lost in matches. She's not the greatest worker, but Bailey really is. She's a ring general, and Tiffany Stratton I thought was impressive as hell. I really did think that Tiffany Stratton looked great. I thought the finish was a little bit weird, but I think it's okay. Like you don't need like every finish doesn't have to be like super epic. Bailey won by countering a roll up with her own like cradle and got the victory there on Naomi, and then her and Naomi remained friends, and they didn't pin Tiffany Stratton because Tiffany, she was the star of the match by far. They gave her everything. She looked amazing. She's going to be the top women's wrestler going forward. I think by like next year's WrestleMania, she's probably going to be like, in that spot where she's the women's champion. And not because I do think that she's really talented. She's still pretty green, but I just think the WWE sees her as that. And so they're just going to make her that. And we'll see if she can run with the ball. And maybe she can, maybe she can't. I don't know, but I think that she's going to get that opportunity by next year because they clearly see a lot in her. And then the next match was not so good. I'm not feeling this Damian Priest title run. I'm really not. I like Damian Priest. I think he's a good worker. I think his promos have gotten a lot better, and he's really become kind of a pretty decent-sized star since that match that he had with Bad Bunny. And I like, the Judgment Day turned out to be pretty good. I thought it stunk at first, with Edge, and then once they broke away, and when they added Dominic Mysterio, and they added Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley started to take off, I really thought that the group came together, and I think that's a cool group. But I just don't know that I'm feeling Damian as the world champion right now. And I'm not feeling Jey Uso as a singles star. I know he's over. I can't deny that the guy is over. Like the Yeet thing is over, and the entrance is over, and it was just an incredible visual seeing him come through the crowd and do the dance and wear the sunglasses, and the crowd just going crazy with him, and mimicking his mannerisms and all that. And they had all their cell phone lights out. Like the whole thing was cool, but I just don't feel Uso as a single main event Jay. I just don't see it. And I think it's time for him and his brother to reunite to take on the Bloodline. I think that's where the eventual money is. Yeah, and I didn't think the match was very good. JD McDonald, little Finn Jr. Like how you can be like little next to Finn is beyond me. But yeah, JD McDonald, he's a bit of a pest, and the fact that he's still on TV is I don't know how the guy's doing. I know he's like a good worker. Like I know he kicks out of stuff and he does moves and all that, but I don't know. The only thing I've ever seen him in that I thought was really good was his match with David Starr a long time ago, and I think it was in Ireland or some shit. So one of those UK towns, but UK countries. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get some hate messages. Ireland is not a city, right? I know. Sorry, I messed up. I messed up my words. I have no notes, guys, so give me a break. But yeah, I think he sucks. And obviously Finn Balor interferes. So they had the interference, and then Damian Priest won. So it is what it is. Like he's a heel, and they're getting heat. I'm just not interested. I really am not. Everybody's like, what do you think they should do with Damian Priest going forward? I think he should lose the title to Drew, coming up in Glasgow. Drew is the money. The money is in Drew, not in Damian Priest. And I like I said, I like Damian Priest, but I just don't see him at that level. Nice try though, guys. Nice try. It was very cute way you guys did that. Very sweet of you to give him that title run. But it's time to put it on Drew. He's the star. Let's put it back on the stars, guys. All right, next match we got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeating the Kabuki Warriors. And I am alone in this. I, I watched it a lot of times. I think when I watch WWE matches, maybe because I've just been conditioned to do so, I check my brain at the door. Um, and I know Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were aghast at some of the times where the ladies got a little bit lost during the match. But I was watching with my kid, and she just thought it was the greatest thing ever. And so I watched it and I enjoyed it. She thinks Jade and Bianca are so cool. She loves the face paint on the Kabuki Warriors and thinks they're the two most beautiful ladies in the world. She just likes all four of them. So I was watching it with her and I was enjoying it. I liked this match. Maybe it's just because my daughter loved it, but I did not. I did not watch it with a very critical eye. So I wasn't like judging it too harshly. I thought Jade looked impressive. Like you can tell that she's still a little bit green. Um, and hopefully she'll end up getting better. But she's been around a while. She hadn't gotten it by now. I don't know, but I didn't think that she looked bad at all. I thought she looked pretty good. So, um, I don't know that she'll ever get to the level that like, you know, your Becky's and Charlotte's and Rhea's and those types in WWE, and like in the ring. I don't know that she'll ever get there, but we'll see. They're gonna give her an opportunity, and I hope she capitalizes on it. I think the money is in her turning on Bianca and doing a Bianca and Jade feud. But like, wait till like next year. Let them have the titles the rest of the year. Be dominant champions. Like, probably the most impressive women's tag team champions that they've ever had there, as far as like physically impressive. I think the Kabuki Warriors in the ring are the best that they've ever had, but I think that Bianca and Jade are like the two of the most impressive ladies I've ever seen in my life. Like just they're just physical specimens. They're such like Jade, obviously is a big bodybuilder, fitness model type, and then Bianca is, just probably one of the great athletes in WWE history. She's just super athletic. She's got a ton of charisma, and little kids love her. So I think that there's money in them as a tag team, and then ultimately the big money is down the road when Bianca eliminates Jade from the Royal Rumble, and Jade turns on her, a la Psycho Sid or Sid Justice on Hulk Hogan back in I think 1992. Like I think that's where they go. I think that's what they need to do. But look, I'm alone. I enjoyed it, but my kid loved it. So there you go. So eat it. And then we get to the main event, and Cody and AJ. And I talked about this last night on Overtime. I thought Cody and AJ had a hell of a match, and it was very much a New Japan style match. In fact, I think Cody kicked out at one in a burning hammer, um, and the crowd just ate up everything that these two guys did. I mean, they ate up everything that everybody did, but these two guys specifically were insanely over. And this whole match was just Cody working a heel, that probably has not been main event level for like not like as far as like in ring ability. He has all the ability in the world AJ Styles does, but he's just working a guy that hasn't been pushed up to main event level in a while. And although I think when was he in that 4-way with Roman? I cannot remember, but I think he was just in a 4-way with Roman recently. Before Roman lost the title. I think he was. I think it was AJ and LA Knight and one other. I can't remember what the hell the match was, but so it wasn't like that long ago that he was in a main event, but still. AJ, 46 years old, he's jacked to the gills, veins popping, doing 450 splashes, like springboard 450s still, just hitting all the moves that he could hit when he was like 22. And Cody is just a mega star, and I thought this match was awesome. And people are saying, "Oh, it was better in the ring than Roman and Cody." Probably, but Roman and Cody had all the bells and whistles, and so that's the match that everybody's going to remember for a long, long time. Although this one probably like gets the higher rating. It's kind of like, yeah, that's just the way it goes. I guess it's neither here nor there. Like, not that it matters, but I wouldn't be shocked if they got 5 out of Dave. Somebody asked me, "Would you give it 5?" Probably, but it's like, how could you not? The match was awesome, and the crowd ate up everything that they did. I don't really care about a match with a ton of moves and tons of kickouts if the crowd doesn't give a shit. But if they do less moves and less kickouts, but the crowd cares more, I'm like, okay. I'm into that. But these guys, they did everything. They had all the moves. They had the kickouts. They had, the drama and the intrigue and everything. And AJ is just one of the greatest workers that there's ever been. And Cody is one of the top, wrestlers that WWE has had in a long time. And I thought that these two guys were awesome together. And I'd like to see them do this one again. I don't know if they will. This might have been a one and done. Just heat AJ up for a title shot. Just they needed somebody to lose to Cody and put him over, kind of like Christian and Swerve. But we'll see. But I think that there's still they got another juice left in one more match. Should they decide to do it, it was that good. They did such a great job. So overall, I thought Backlash was a big thumbs up. And King of the Ring's coming up next. It is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and so the King and Queen of the Ring, I should say. And we'll see if that one lives up to this show. But I thought Backlash was a hell of a show. I think everybody should go out of the way to watch it. Easy to watch. Like I think it was 2 hours and 50 minutes, but if you just skip through some of the Gaga in between the matches, you can probably knock that down to about 2.5 hours, and that's better than Raw. It's a lot better than Raw. So, so Raw is longer than Backlash, and Backlash was 10 times what Raw has ever been in the last 10 years. So, yeah, I thought it was a cool show. Sorry I didn't do any videos. Sorry I didn't plug my mic in. It's just me downstairs in the living room, just getting thoughts out of my head. But I appreciate you guys being here, being a part of our Patreon, being a part of the Mike and JD Show family. Make sure to tell your friends about us. I really appreciate you. And until next time.